Welcome back to my channel. I did an episode on my podcast, maybe it might have been like 2 years ago, about manifestation. My oldest child, who is 19 now, about to be 20 in about 4 weeks, 3 weeks, she is definitely a manifester. I want to say I probably started to notice it when she was 3 or 4. She would say things and then it would happen. And one of my big cousins was getting married. And at that time, she had a granddaughter that was around the same age. Well, actually, they are the same age. And she was supposed to be the flower girl. And my baby girl kept saying, "Oh, I'm going to be the flower girl. I'm going to be the flower girl. I'm going to be," and she just kept saying it. And I was like, "You're not going to be the flower girl." I had to sit her down and tell her, "You're not going to be the flower girl. So stop saying it. You can go to the wedding, but you're not going to be the flower girl." And she had the biggest meltdown, and she was like, "No, I'm going to be the flower girl. I'm going to be the flower girl." And I was just like, at that point, I didn't even think I wanted to take her to the wedding because I didn't know how she was going to react if she seen my little cousin coming down the aisle. I went to my daughter and I said, "Auntie said you're going to be the flower girl." And she said, "I told you, mommy. I told you. I told you I was a flower girl." And she walked away and she was all happy. And I was like, okay. So a couple of years later, she's a little bit older. She wanted a laptop for her birthday. And I was like, "I'm not buying you a laptop for your birthday." And she's like, "Nah, yeah, I want a laptop for my birthday." I said, "You're not getting a laptop. You broke this, you broke that." I was going down the line of the things that she broke or lost or whatever she did to him. And she was like, "Yeah, I want a laptop for my birthday." So my uncle came up from DC because my uncle usually comes up he would usually come up during the summer and during Christmas and during holidays. He came up here for her birthday. And what does he have? A laptop. So, she's kind of like, so throughout the years, I just noticed that, she would say things and she would get them. One day I went to her and we were talking and I said to her, because we didn't really call it manifestation at that time. We were going to church and we just called it like, there's a verse that says, "Speak those things though they be not as they were." So we would just chalk it up to her just speaking things and she would get them. And even now, there was an incident and she called me from her job and she calls me and she's whispering. And I'm like, "What is going on?" I'm thinking something's happening at the job or something like that. And she was saying how the lady was basically getting on her and her coworker and screaming at them because she felt like they were laughing too much at the job. But she said all her work was done. Everything that she had to do for that day was done. And she was starting on the stuff that she needed to do for later on in the month that didn't need to be done, but she was going to get that stuff done too. So now, backstory a little bit. The lady went away, I don't know, for maybe like 2 weeks, and she showed my daughter all this stuff. She showed her all this stuff, and she was like, "Oh, I'm going to give you extra money for this," and da 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 da. And right then, I knew like something not right with this lady. But because she was trying to buy my daughter's time. And that's basically what you're doing when you work for somebody else. They're buying your time. But the way she was going about it, she was showing her all these different things. And, "Oh, if you do this, then I'll give you an extra this." And she was kind of playing with her because she knew she was young. But at the same time, my daughter, my daughter doesn't have any real bills besides her car, her cell phone. Like she doesn't have a rent or a mortgage or anything like that. Her car is paid for. So it's not like she's not home with mommy. So I knew the little game the lady was playing, but I didn't say anything. So when the lady came back, the guys that worked at the job, they didn't go to her for some of the things that they used to go to her for. They started going to my daughter, and they will only go to my daughter because my oldest, when she knows something, she knows it, and she knows it like the back of her hand. So they were only coming to her, and I guess there was an issue with that, with them only coming to her. But if you train somebody efficient enough, you should feel like this person is doing something that I no longer have to do. This person is efficient. I don't have to babysit them or whatever the case. But she was doing that stuff and she was doing it fast and she was doing it better. So, you know, people get a little jealous, and that's really all it was. My daughter calls me and she's whispering and I'm thinking something is wrong. And she says to me, "Mom, do you think I should quit this job?" I didn't want her to have the job in the first place once that lady was doing what she was doing because I already knew what it was. And I was like, quit. And she quits the job. She comes home. She comes home that day and she says, "I have a job in a week." And in a week, she had another job. And when she said it, I knew she was going to have a job in a week. And she did. So, as far as manifestation, she does like vision boards and she does stuff like that. But she's not, there's like, people do vision boards, they do affirmations, they do 369 method, they do different methods. But she doesn't even need to do all that. All she has to do is speak it. And I had to learn that about myself because I kind of manifested something and I didn't even pay attention to the fact that I was manifesting it because I am a visualizer. I visualize things and I speak things, but I wasn't taking it as manifestation because a lot of things that I speak, they do come to pass, but sometimes it's twisted up with intuition. But when I thought about it, I was just solely manifesting. And when the thing happened, I was like, that was quick. And I spoke it, but I also wrote it down. So now I know that I can't do, whenever I do vision boards and stuff like that, it takes years for that stuff to come to pass. But if I write it or if I speak it and visualize it, it comes faster. So there's something now that I'm visualizing and I was speaking. And I also noticed that when I'm near and around water, it comes a lot faster. When I had this little issue, I needed some cash. And I was like, where am I going to get this money from? I need this money. I was worrying about it instead of figuring out a way to get the money. And then I got a call. And most of the phone numbers now, they're all cell phones. So they all have those different area codes. But it was like original area code from when you have a house phone. And I was like, who is calling me from this number? And I don't really check my messages because my messages are always my voicemail, because voicemail is just always weird. On my voicemail is always weird. Like I'll get the voicemail a day later, or sometimes the little voicemail thing doesn't show up or whatever it is. I don't know. But I got a call from someone and they were saying that they had a check for me. And I was like, a check for me? And they were like, yeah, all you got to do is come down here and sign for it. Da, 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 da. Now, the incident that happened years, maybe 4 or 5 years before. And then there was still money left for me. So I was like, okay. So I go get the money and I cashed the check. And then there was another incident where I wrote something down and I forgot about it. And then when it happened, within a few days, I was like, I totally forgot that I wrote that down. So I can verbally speak a manifestation and I can write a manifestation and visualize manifestations. But I can't do vision boards because now I know that they take forever. Today I visualized myself getting something that I needed, and it was this girl that I was watching. I'll put her down in the description, and she was talking about talking it out in as if you already had it. My middle child came to me and she was asking me something, and I said, well, I got blah 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 blah, and she was like, and she just walked away. Like, I don't actually have it in my hand, but I will have it, and I will have it soon. So you guys tell me some of your stories about manifestations and how you manifest, and do you do the 369 method? 369, is it 369? Something like that. And follow laws of attraction and there's so many different laws. I didn't know that there were so many, but I'm just going to stay with the stuff that I do and That's about it. Thanks for watching.